time was funny. Is the pastor's and his wife here today that was giving a testimony last night? Y'all here? Stand up. Come on up. That was the most hilarious thing I think I've ever seen. Y'all in better shape today? You didn't practice for that, I can tell you. Where y'all from?
Cedar Rapids.
All right. Hey, give her a hand. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And is the Lord moving up there in Iowa? Just take just a minute and tell us what the Lord's doing. I know last night it was powerful, awesome. And there was such a glory moved in when y'all got talking. Of course, the black guy that was here last night, he was talking about how the Lord touched him. You here, son? From Birmingham, are you here? It's a good thing. But just take just a few minutes before I preach and just tell us about what God's doing in Iowa and how the Lord began to move in your life. What happened to you?
Well, first of all, I didn't go to
Okay. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3.
First of all, I went to a funeral a while back, and there was a girl there who we went to school together, and we were rowdies together. And I hadn't seen her for like 30 years, and she's a pastor's wife, speaks in tongues, and it's like glory. And so she called us and said, do you want to go to Pensacola, Florida? And it's like, Pensacola, Florida, what for? And she said, well, there's a move of God down there, and, will you not do that?
It's hard. It's hard. Woo. It's hard. Hold on, Mike.
I was praying in my motel room this morning, and I know you hear a lot of things, being the pastor and stuff, and people tell you a lot of things, and it's like, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. But God said that he's going to call you up to him. He told me he was going to pull you up to him because he had some things to tell you about the revival that man can't tell you. And he said, you're going to have a visitation from him. And he says, I'm going to pull him up to me because there's things I need to tell him. Turning, like a turning. And it's like, turning, what do you mean, God? What needs to be turned in here? But God's going to call you up. He's got some things to tell you. But can I say something else? I'm okay. I'm okay, really. I really am. For the first time in my life, I'm okay. Really?
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
I had so many people, you guys, my whole life tell me I wasn't. I bought books on how to be a pastor's wife, and women would come up to me and give me books. Be sure you read this. And it's like, no matter what I did, I felt like I never measured up. And Brenda, is that your wife's name? She ministered when we were here for the pastor's conference, and she was telling about, I think it was her, about clothes, that if she got anything new, she was afraid to wear them to church. And it's like, I do the same thing because it's inevitable. Somebody will come up, and say, oh, another new outfit. And you guys, you think it's funny, but it isn't. And it's like, pastors' wives have feelings too, And so, it's like after service last night, so many people came up to me. When I walked by, a pastor's wife grabbed me, and there's hurting people out there, saying, well, what did you do? How did you, God set you free. How did that happen? And it's like, God prepared me before I even knew about Pensacola, Florida. He said, Sandy, I need you to get healed. And it's like, well, okay, thank you. And I wanted it, and who doesn't want to be healed? I mean, let me see the hands of anybody who doesn't want to be healed, And so a lady in our church came to me and she said, I was watching TBN and there's this book by, what's his name? By,
John Bevere.
oh yeah, John Bevere, and it's called The Bait of Satan. And honestly, you guys, I mean, I was reading that book, and it's all on offenses in the church, and where it's decision time, in the church. But there was one part in there, and I was laying in my bed, and I was reading it, and he told about this guy who was from India or someplace, and he had a call of God on his life, but he was a successful businessman, and he didn't yield to that call, and he had a heart attack one day. And he died, and he said he was outside heaven, and Jesus came up to him and ministered to him about going back, and accepting the call on his life. And he said then Jesus just opened up hell, and he said he looked down, and there was his mother-in-law. And he said, my mother-in-law, how could that be? She goes to church every Sunday. She goes to church every Sunday, and she's spirit-filled, she's Shandamahais, and he said, how could that be? And you guys, the very next sentence, Jesus spoke to him and said, well, she refused to forgive a relative. And I laid the book on me, Steve, and I just was going, oh God, I need to know if it's true, God. I need to know if what this man is saying is true, God. Tell me, is it true? And the Spirit of God just spoke to me and said, why? Do you have someone you haven't forgiven yet? I love it when he slaps you, don't you?
Amen.
Really. And it was like, I didn't think so, because, if anybody would say anything to me, and it was like, I instantly forgave them. I tried to keep myself in that forgive mode. If anybody would come up, it was like, I forgive them, I forgive them. Really, do you ever do that?
No.
And it's like, I lived that way, just constantly having, but then, after I read the book and everything, and then we came down here for the pastors' conference, and we sat over there, and then Pastor Kirkpatrick just said, I'm going to speak a blessing over all the pastors. And it's like, oh, yes, God, yes, God, yes, God. I receive it, God. Whatever you have, I receive it, God. This is going to be for me, only me. There may be 1,000 people in here, God, but you're parting those people, and you're coming just to me. You're going to speak just to me, Lord. The spotlight's on me with your word. And so he just said, I break those curses over the pastors and their wives. And he took his hand, he says, I break that curse. And when he did that, it was like I was this egg, and I was saying last night where God spoke to me, and he said, you were an egg, but an egg's no good. He said, I can't poach it, I can't scramble it, I can't fry it, I can't do anything with it, but it was like it was cracked, and that shell fell off of me, just onto the floor, and I was going, oh my God, and my husband's saying, what's wrong with you? And I said, honey, I feel like this coat, like this heavy coat has been taken off of me,
Good. Good.
And so we wanted to come back again. We showed the Allison video in our church. We're not a very big church, but, we've sent 2 semis to Honduras, and we're feeding 150 children in Honduras. But, last night when we were doing whatever, and there was somebody who started speaking in Spanish, and we were both laying here, and all I could hear the person say, was, oh, gracias, 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 Jesus, gracias, gracias, gracias. And it was like God was ministering to me and my husband, and it was like it was the Hondurans, saying gracias, gracias. But yesterday I was sick. I was really, really sick, and when I got up, I took some Alka-Seltzer, and then my friend, those 2 that came up here last night, and I took like 3 Tylenol, and then I was just really sick, and then I took more Alka-Seltzer, and so I did really. And so then when I came up here, it was like, man, I felt wonderful. And when I was laying down on the floor, it felt like somebody had taken you plug them in, heating pad, and threw it on my legs. And it was moving. It was down here, and I've had problems with the circulation in my legs and stuff, and I had a surgery, endometriosis and everything, and it was like it was moving up my legs. And it stopped, right when it got
Right there.
right when it got up to here, and it's like, yes, there's a salvation message going out to the church, man. That's why we're so depressed and we're so beat down. We've done nothing, church, except look inward and wham. And God is saying it's time to stop weeping, church.